What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a Q&A, which I'm so excited for. I feel like Q&As are the videos where I really get to just connect with you guys and chat about random things. I also feel like I haven't done one in a while, so it's gonna be fun and chill. I was actually planning on filming this tomorrow, but my schedule for the day kind of changed and I have all this free time, so I was like, I'm just gonna film it now. So yeah, I'm just gonna get right into it. Normally I would split it up into two, like a modeling Q&A and a personal Q&A, but I think for this one I'm just gonna put them all together. Okay, we're gonna start off light. How do you go about managing your time, like social life, work life, etc.? I feel like this is very personal because some people need more social time than others. I feel like for me as a model, it kind of depends on my week. Like if I've had a long week of work, then I probably just want to spend time by myself, to be honest, because for work I'm always talking to new people, I'm always socializing, I'm always just around all these people, and for me I recharge by myself. Whereas if I have a week where I'm not working very much and I'm maybe spending a lot of time like at home working on YouTube or working on other things, then I might have that craving to be social, so then I will like deliberately make time for it. So yeah, I don't know if I really have like a good answer for this because I think it always just kind of like falls into place. What I will say is like work is my priority, so I always prioritize work. I prioritize what I need to do, how I need to feel to be able to perform at work, and then everything else kind of comes after. So whatever energy I have at the end of the week or whatever time I have at the end of the week, that's where my social life and everything else falls into. What survival jobs would you suggest for a model? So good survival jobs for a model are jobs that have flexible hours and have hours beyond like photo shoot hours. So the way it normally works, and there are exceptions to this obviously, but normal shooting hours are just like a 9 to 5. So it's either like 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 or 8 to 5 or 8 to 6. So any survival job that's good for a model is something that you can do before or after. Off the top of my head, like bartending, hosting, a lot of models have those kinds of jobs on the sides, or serving at a restaurant, or there's even like a lot of remote jobs that you can get nowadays where you're doing like customer service or things like that, and those hours are pretty flexible. And then also like social media can be a great side hustle if you obviously have the means for it, but yeah, those are some of the things that I would recommend. Oh my gosh, I have to put this in there. Someone responded to my my little question box on Instagram when I asked the questions for this Q&A, and this person was like, Daph, you never answer the juicy questions. And you know what it is? I don't really get asked super juicy questions. Like the juiciest question I get is whether I have a boyfriend or not, or whether I'm single. If you guys follow me for a while, like I just don't share my dating life on YouTube or like on social media, period. I just feel like unless it's someone who I know is going to be in my life for a long time or someone who is permanent, I don't see the point in sharing it. Like right now I just don't have someone like that in my life. So yeah, my questions are not juicy, but I also just don't have any drama or tea in my life. Like I'm a very drama-free individual. So yeah, I mean, you'll get like good questions out of me, but you probably won't get anything too crazy juicy or dramatic out of me. What are your tips for new models trying to break into the industry, specifically in New York City? That's such a loaded question. Honestly, I feel like right now is probably the hardest time to break into the modeling industry, just because it's so competitive. And like, I'm not even talking about in the 90s, but even like 10 years ago when social media was not a thing, you could just be a model and that would be enough. And nowadays being just a model isn't enough. Like you have to offer more, you know? You have to have a personality, you have to have something special about you, you have to have numbers, because nowadays clients aren't just booking the girl, they're booking, you know, her audience as well. It's like it's I don't know, it's a lot. Like you have to almost have 4 different jobs in order to kind of like break into the industry. So yeah, I would say the first thing is use social media to your advantage. Get good at TikTok if you can get good at TikTok. use Instagram obviously and just try and like leverage your personality or your personal style or whatever is unique to you that you have to offer. The more you can show more about yourself than just your looks, I think the more successful you will be. And then the second thing I would tell you is to get really good at what you do. So if you are like a high fashion runway girl, get really, really good. Just to the point where a client cannot help but book you. If you're a commercial girl like me, get really good at posing. Get really good at moving. Get really good at being natural and candid, and yeah, just be a good mover. And also like expressions, practice your expressions. Be able to offer the client so much that they cannot help but continue booking you. You know what I mean? And that's another good point, is like, I feel like we focus so much on the initial booking, like initially getting the job, but what really like makes a girl have a career and break into the industry inevitably is by being booked continuously. Because once a client uses you, then other clients start to use you, and that's what builds a career. It's not the first job that builds someone's career. It's like being booked for years and years and years because you're good at what you do. Please share more about how you controlled your spending and your big financial goals. I love talking about finances and money and investing and saving. It's like one of my favorite topics. I feel like it all starts with awareness. I think everything in life starts with awareness. I've spoken about this before. The first thing that you should do is know what you're making and know what you're spending, and figure out what the balance is in that. And that's already more than what the average individual does, because a lot of people do not actually check what goes in and what goes out. Like, a lot of people are scared to confront themselves about their money and how much they're spending and all of that, and that's what gets you into problems. So getting over that, you know, bump, I guess, and religiously checking your bank accounts, being diligent about you know, what you can actually afford to spend versus what you want to spend, that's already a huge step, in my opinion. Set a plan, like set a goal for yourself. I think this is different for everyone because everyone has different financial means and different position in life, but set a target, you know, whether that's getting out of debt, starting a savings account, or starting to invest. You know, like, you want to be clear about your goals, because that's when you can really start to like get things moving. Other things I think are really important is living below your means, not being influenced by other people when it comes to like going out or buying certain clothes, buying certain things, like really just being a critical thinker, thinking for yourself and making financial decisions based on what you want and you think, rather than like what's cool and what other people are doing. My biggest thing is try and think further than this moment right now and what you want in this moment, and just try and think about 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead, and what that money could do for you then. Do you ever feel like you're missing out by being a model? It's so funny because I've never felt like I'm missing out because of what I do. You know what I mean? I think this person's probably relating it to like food or drinking or partying, like maybe certain freedoms, but I actually feel the opposite, where I feel like modeling has given me more opportunities and freedoms than I would have had if I wasn't modeling. Do you know what I mean? I think there's certain like sacrifices you have to make in the moment. Like if I have a big job or if I'm traveling, or, you know, I have to be more conscious of certain things, but it doesn't mean that I can't do all those things, that I can't eat, you know, what I want to eat, or I can't go out with my friends, or I can't do that. It's just sometimes I have to make certain choices or do them on other days because of what I do. So I definitely don't feel like I miss out being a model. How do you figure out your goals and what you're working towards? I feel like sometimes I'm working towards nothing, so it makes me unmotivated. Okay, so the reason we set goals is because we are either very passionate about something that we want to achieve, or because we're unsatisfied about something that we currently have in our life, you know, whether that's our job, sometimes it's our bodies, you know, it can even be like your friend circle or something like that. Like it can be related to anything, but it usually comes from either something that we really want to achieve or something we're unhappy about. So I would challenge you to start thinking about something that you really love to do, something that you're really passionate about, and start like thinking how you can make those things happen in your life, you know? Or what you can do is start by setting small like daily targets, whether that's going for a walk or completing a task or going to the gym, and that kind of gets you in that mindset of like setting and achieving a goal, and then you can apply those same techniques to like bigger things that you actually want to do in your life, you know? How do you get to bed on time? I think the biggest thing about going to bed early is like waking up early, because honestly, I wake up between 5 and 5:30 every single day, minus like 1 or 2 days once in a while, but and I swear that that's the secret to going to bed early, because every night without fail I could fall asleep at 9:30 or 10. I don't always get to do that, but if I could, I would. So yeah, waking up early. And then the other thing that I think really makes the difference is being active. The days where I walk the most or I'm the most active are also the days where I go to bed the earliest. Where's the best area to stay when moving to New York City for the first time? I get this question all the time. I feel like there's a ton of good areas where you can find a nice place. Like my friends are kind of all scattered across the city, I would say. You can find great places on the east side, like East Village, Lower East Side, but even also up more like towards Kips Bay and Murray Hill. Those places are usually more affordable, whereas areas like Soho and Tribeca are obviously super nice, but more expensive. So for a first timer, I would probably say check out the east side because it's more affordable. Chelsea is also a really good option. I feel like lower part of Chelsea is better than higher. The closer you get to Penn Station, it gets a little sketchy over there, so I wouldn't recommend living near Penn Station, but anything lower than that in the Chelsea area is also really good. But yeah, there's so many areas. Honestly, there's a lot of nice areas. It just kind of depends on your budget and also the stage of life that you're in. I feel like if you're a college student, you want to be in the East Village near all the bars and stuff. Do you ever feel overwhelmed? If so, how do you deal with it? Yeah, of course I feel overwhelmed. Never assume that someone has it completely together, because even the most together person feels overwhelmed or lost or confused sometimes, you know? It happens to everybody. It's funny because I can have a day where I feel so confident and so sure of what I'm doing and what my plans are, and then all of a sudden the next day I can feel super lost and unsure and like I'm walking blindly through my life. You know, it's that sounds a little extreme, but it's true, you know, like that truly does happen to me. The way that I deal with it is I try to just accept the feeling and like let it wash over me, because the more I fight it, or you know, even sometimes I get mad at myself for feeling that way, it actually makes it worse. So I just like embrace the emotion and I lean into it, and then in an hour or so, like I will feel different. And then usually what I find the most helpful is actually journaling about it. I talk about it all the time, but sometimes things can get jumbled and really intense in your mind, and then when you see it in front of you, everything is a lot more clear and you can kind of come to a solution. So if you haven't tried journaling, I find it really helpful. Another thing that I always try and remind myself of is like everything that has ever overwhelmed me or stressed me out or confused me has always somehow worked out and made sense. So I think as you get older, you kind of like let that stuff affect you less, because you just know some way, somehow it's going to work out. But yeah, that's another thing that I try and just remember when I feel overwhelmed or I feel lost, is like, chill out. Everything's gonna work out. It might not make sense right now, but it will make sense at some point. A lot of questions about my favorite restaurants or restaurants that I recommend in New York City. I'll leave a little list in the description box of some of my favorite restaurants, because I can never think of these things off the top of my head, but when I sit down and I think about it, I actually have some really cute spots. So they will be in the description box of this video. Another question about New York City was, what are some of the best things to do alone in the city? And I feel like New York is one of those places where you can do anything alone if you wanted to. I also feel like I'm a testament to this because I spend so much time by myself, but anything from like going to walks to going to a movie to trying a new coffee shop or a new restaurant or going shopping. Sometimes I just go to the stores and I just browse by myself, and it's like relaxing for me. I don't necessarily buy anything, but I just like to see what's new and what's up. What else is really fun? Can get a city bike and go for a bike ride, or you can go to Central Park. Maybe not in the winter time, but any other season when it's nice. Like going to Central Park is so nice, and you can spend hours there, honestly. There's also like the Oculus and the World Trade Center and Brookfield Place and that whole area downtown in Financial District that's really nice. They have a bunch of shops, they have restaurants there. There's obviously a ton of history to discover there, and it's also just like a nice place to hang out and chill. So yeah, I'm trying to think of what else. Going for a workout, trying out a new workout place. I don't know, I think once you get over that hump of like not having someone to do things with, everything is just something that you can do on your own. Someone asked me if I'm scared of getting older, and the timing of this question is just crazy because one, I'm turning 25 next month, and two, I was actually having a really good conversation with one of my friends about this, about how I have never felt better about myself, about who I am, about what I'm doing than I do at this moment. And a lot of people always talk about how they're scared of getting older, and like I think a lot of people, especially around 25, they start to panic. And for me, it's like I don't feel that way at all. I actually feel excited about not necessarily like getting older. I don't want my life to pass me by, but I'm excited to continue feeling more confident and more like secure within myself as time goes on. It's like the craziest, I don't know. It's such a crazy thing to say because honestly, like we should feel this way about ourselves from the beginning, but we don't, right? Like I don't know, especially in your early 20s, I think a lot of us are so unsure and somewhat insecure, and we don't know our worth, and we don't know like who we are, and like to get to this place where you feel so happy about who you are and so confident and so like secure is just the best feeling ever. And I truly like wish everyone felt this way that I feel right now. So yeah, anyway, long story short, no, I'm not scared of getting older. I'm actually really excited about it because I think especially the next 5 years are going to just be really cool and amazing. Okay, camera died, but we're back. I'm going to wrap up this Q&A and I'm going to answer one last question. And the question is, what was your biggest learning this year? Or what was the biggest thing that I've learned this year? I would say the biggest thing I learned this year is probably like learning how to detach myself from certain people or situations or outcomes, especially outcomes. I think for me that's a big thing. It's like I become attached to an outcome that I want, but still being able to enjoy the scenario, you know? And I feel like that's such a valuable lesson for everyone, is like detachment doesn't mean that you can't enjoy the emotion or that you're not connected or anything like that. It just means that you can enjoy like the emotion of something, whether that's a job or a person or an experience, but you don't let the outcome control you. And I think that that's, I mean, it's not something that I've completely mastered, but it's something that I guess realized about myself this year, is that in the past especially, I've been attached to certain outcomes a lot, and it doesn't have to be that way, you know? So yeah, I feel like that's a really valuable thing to kind of learn and master, and I actually feel like it makes you happier in the end, because you allow yourself to be present and live in the moment without having expectations about the outcome of something or someone. So guys, that is gonna be it for this Q&A. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought in the comments. If you guys have any other questions that I may not have answered, you can also leave me a comment and I will answer you down below. But yeah, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah!